Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing well. And for the new people who ever find this video, um, I really suggest do not watch this video. I mean, you can watch the first one on "Are you ready to come off?" If you haven't even started, but if you're in the process of coming off, you still may want to watch the first video because there's a lot of what to do, prepare for before coming off, and you may actually want to hold that where you are before you even continue on. If you're feeling that you're not getting it and things are going haywire, then maybe watch that first video of "Am I Ready?" The purpose of this video is, number one, it is my third year off. November 5th, I've been completely off. And the benzo withdrawal's over. Let's just face it. By my 2.2 marker, it's been over. And or 2.4. So it's over. There's a thing though that I do, of course, caution everyone because again, we go on Facebook, we'll go on groups, and they're great. Everyone wants to help, but they can be very dangerous because of how people learn and become. We all become benzo doctors, and we believe we know what we're talking about. And for example, it's like, oh my God, I'm here and I cut and then I accidentally went back up. Oh my God, did I kindle? This whole word of kindling, which is, yeah, it's real, but you know kindling's funny. And yet, when there is a science to kindling, and each person's different. And what rekindling really does, it's like, oh my God, is your brain going to melt? But it scares you when someone says, yeah, you kindled. What does that help you with? It doesn't matter. Okay, what happened? Okay, you updosed. How are you feeling right now? I feel fine. Okay. How did you feel on the lower dose, the dose that you were at? Terrible, horrible. Oh my God, I wanted to die. Well, then go back to the one that you feel good on, reset, and then what I'm going to be talking about soon will likely help guide you. The what really happened, with us is sometimes we need to know, and when it finally broke for me, it was interesting. It just you stopped worrying about certain things. But there is though an aftermath that's not benzo withdrawal, and this is where I find that we have to remember what's benzo withdrawal and what's not benzo withdrawal, and understand that, oh, my neck hurts, my neck really hurts. Yeah, it's benzo withdrawal. No, it's not. Your neck hurts. Okay. For example, a neck hurting. All right. You have these suboccipital muscles. They're rather small, 2 to 3 inches. You got four main ones. You have your scalene muscles, you have your SCM muscle, you have your trap muscles, and you have these interspinous muscles, multifidus, I think they're called. Now, and then your TMJ, which is not particularly connected to the spine, but related to the same nerves that feed the jaw. And when you're bracing because of stress, you're chewing on your teeth, you're bracing your neck. Here's what it's like. It's like taking a wet sponge in your hand and squeezing it. And guess what? There's no blood flow in there. There's no water flow in the sponge anymore. It's gone. But when I release it, now I can get more water into it, right? So even if you do this right now with your regular fist, squeeze really hard with your fist and just hold it. And just keep holding it, and really squeeze each finger. Make sure you feel them all. And after even just a few seconds, keep squeezing. All you're going to do is release the squeezing, but don't open your hand. Now release. Now slowly open your hand. Slowly. Now you see, it's not fluid. I can't, like this one, I can just, even very slow, it just moves. But this one, it's like, right? And then once you do this, right? So what happened, right? Bracing. You get all the fluid out. Those little, and there's not a lot of muscles in your fingers, right? So you squeeze it out, and then all of a sudden, you have to get that edema back in. You have to move it around, pump, pump. But imagine this, the worry that we have. These muscles become atrophied, and then we start having a lot more new symptoms, which has nothing to do with benzo withdrawal. It's the results from our stress of going through something. Anybody who's not touched a medication can go through these things. Just simple stress. But so we worry about, when we're on it, you're going to worry about, oh my God, what if I take a vitamin? Oh my God, what if I take this? Because even on certain websites about, my computer froze up. Oh gosh. I'm pulling over some videos for this video. I think it was a WBAD website, really good website. But in the what not to take, I disagree with a lot of things that are on there. Just because something touches benzo receptors, is it really touching a benzo receptor, or is it touching the neurotransmitter side of it? And is it really downregulating things? Is it really burning things up? And it's not true, based on the chemical aspect of alprazolam and Ativan and all those. So, but is it wise to stay away from certain things? Well, if something increases more neurotransmitters, that's good. But if it affects and tries to create more action potential and affect the receptor and overstimulate these synapses, then you got to be careful with those things. Where magnesium, I think that was on the list. Magnesium is in every metabolic process in the body. So we're supposed to say stay away from magnesium. However, because we are compromised in our whole central nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, our parasympathetic and sympathetic dominance that we're in, don't worry about defining those things. But those nervous systems are going haywire because without glutamate working properly and GABA working properly to balance things out along with the other neurotransmitters, you will feel everything, and the body in the healing process in a benzo withdrawal is painful. It's not fun. It feels weird. I mean, let's face it, you break your arm. Are you going to say like, it feels great today? No. How about tomorrow? No. How about the next day? No. 8 weeks later? Maybe. So in my course, things have I worried. I mean, I worried about every pill I took. Looking at it, I got symptoms. You have to know how to determine what is just your anxiety talking. And, it's like, wait a minute, I'm having reaction looking at water. Oh, I drank water from the tap. Oh my God. It's like, come on, stop. So in my process, what I have even done, let's see, I think it was after 2 years. I think, can't remember when. In fact, it was a year ago. I took, you ready for this? 4 milligrams of Valium, 2 or 4 milligrams of Ativan, and West Side. Yeah, that right there. What does it say? 5 milligrams of Percocet, all in one day. Why? Because I had an MRI, and I am the chickenest person in the world. Chickenest is the word now. And I didn't get a side effect. I didn't have a setback or anything. So we don't worry about future procedures. Even if you are needing a procedure, you got to take care of your health. But be careful about thinking that everything's wrong with you. You have a tumor and all these other things. So I'm really angry. My computer's freezing up. What we're going to talk about now is, again, watch the first video if you haven't. We're going to talk about how you do the tapering in itself. I'm so upset that I didn't put this out earlier, but I was still healing. And Um, there is a factor when you're just trying to get better. Now my neck is bad. My cervical spine is really messed up, amplified because of benzo withdrawal. And um, let me see something. Pause. Okay, it's working. We're going to talk about tools. I think I should have really, hopefully, I put that in the first video. It's been a while. And we'll be talking about splitting doses because I find that might be better, especially when you're on low uh, Ativans and the faster acting, shorter half life ones. And I talk about the tools you're going to need. I will talk. I think I'm going to talk about supplements. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I might do a separate video on that because it's very, very intense, and I I just agree with healthier eating, frankly, and riding it out and get your brain to heal. Are there things that will help your brain to heal? Yes, and people will again argue about it. Lion's mane, rhodiola, curcumin, cacao. I don't like cacao. I feel nasty on that one. Um, uh, there's another things like aniracetam and alpha GPC, alpha lipoic acid. Um, so those are helpful for the nerve growth factor, the stuff that I'm talking about. So I'm going to try to do a video for that one. Hopefully I can get to it. Um, but again, when you're in the middle of benzo withdrawal, it's like you just feel like nothing's going to work. And you will feel, either from a mental perspective, just for fear of pills, um, any slight difference of any feeling, you're going to be like, what's happening? Remember, healing hurts. And and normally when I do the research, the stuff that takes me a long time to research this stuff is how does it affect the brain? And a lot of times they don't know. They just know what it results in. No different than SSRIs. So, and NRIs. Okay, let's get into um, what happened to us. We're going to talk about that first. What happens in our brains? Because knowing this, I think, helps. It's like visualizing my bone broke. It's healing. That means more calcium and growth factors have to get there, more blood flow, etc., etc. When you know that, okay, I have receptors in my brain and they're either shrunk or burnt out or downregulated or just dead, and these dendrites have to grow. All right, so we're going to talk about that, and we'll talk about breaking doses and the actual taper process. Okay, let's talk about what happened in the brain. Now, just try to think of two fists pointing at each other, one here, one here. And I probably can actually show you it this way, this by. Just think of two fists facing each other. And you probably already know this. I'm going to make this very quick. What happened? It's all this activity where, GABA A's and GABA B receptors, where, glutamate, we think of glutamate as this, oh my God, it's evil. It's an AMPA receptor amplification, and it causes excitatory, and that's not entirely true. Glutamate is needed for healing. And because it's needed for healing, but unfortunately, when this is not in balance, this is what gets in trouble, okay? And so this, of course, I don't know whether this is exactly what it looks like in the brain, but here's that dendritic stem, you got the axon, and you got all these neurotransmitters and action potential going on between. So it's these that what happens is, now ignore the BDNF part, is this is a normal state of where we were. Yeah, just lolly jolly, happy go lucky, whatever. Going through life, and then all of a sudden depressed state comes in, or damage comes in, or again medication problems, where because this is a benzodiazepine issue, um, we'll call this benzo damage plus oxidative stress, which comes from worry, fear. That's good enough. All right, so these things are what's damaging. All right. And so we can't simply just say there's so much damage from like for SSRIs and NRIs because the probability is that it gives you to this treated state. So this area right here um, is where you can see it's even better than the previous. And that's where they believe why antidepressants work for some people, but sometimes it doesn't, and therefore they're considered those ineffective ones. So in the benzo withdrawal, likely it's possibility that this is what's going on. It's not downregulation; it's just the dendritic stems are gone. So we need is this. We need BDNF. It's a brain-derived neurotrophic factor. That's where supplements come in to assist us, and that could be a number of things. And again, I don't want to talk about it now, but there's a number of things I was looking into. I have not finished researching these. I don't believe in flavonoids being the actual go-to, and it's going to heal you. Um, so we just ignore this stuff until you really know how to. And in fact, I haven't looked this in a while. No, no, yeah. These things. You know what? Just eat healthy, and like I said, go eat healthy. And when it comes to actually healing, um, I don't. I have opinions on what to take, but I'll have to get to that soon. Now I'm just going to switch quickly over to my one of my friends over in the UK. He he is a specialist when it comes to healing the brain, especially for people with bipolar disorder. That's what he has faced, and his story is in here. But after him and I were speaking, he created a how to withdraw from benzos the right and wrong way. Now, he likely did most of his own research on this. Him and I have spoken at length, and he does talk about the 10% rate. I still disagree per se on the 10% because that is a typical Ashton manual go-to 10%. I disagree with that because you might not be able to do 10%. You might be able to do more. And he talks about the wrong way, which I've already had this stuff written up in my file. Um, he also, wow, he's a genius. Wow, I didn't even read this yet, but this is true. Doing dry measuring, that's one of the tools, which we're going to be talking about when you stop altogether. I'm not going to read this right now. So that's what happened. Now let's go into the tools. If you're going to water titrate, you're going to need these. If you be careful where you order from. If it comes from China, you're going to wait a very long time. But I did order from China. And so you need a 100 ml and a 20 ml will be good for water titration. You need good glass jars for shaking. Do not get plastic. It just doesn't work. Can you get away with this one? I don't think so. I don't like it. Um, Although, if you're, again, depending on what you're doing, you can do the 100 ml and put it into a jar, and then you can work from there. Or get exactly what Pete Smith had. There is a dry scale right here. A good dry scale. I don't know a good one. Everyone's has one of their own. So depending on what your choice of tapering is, then feel free to do that. Believe it or not, there was one way I was actually suggesting is actually using a nail file. Yes. And depending on, of course, most of them, if it was just like swipe one, swipe two, and if you can do it equally, um, that you taper by swipe, and it's not a lot, and the percentage I wouldn't even know. It's like, what would that percentage be? it might be very slow, but for those who are on maybe just 1 or 2 milligrams of Xanax for a very long time, that might be another way of doing it. So, all right, so that is the tools. Now I want to talk about people who are getting cut off. If you're getting cut off, there is a potential supplement called Phenibut. Phenibut does cross the blood-brain barrier much more easily than GABA because you can't take a supplemental GABA. It does not cross the blood-brain barrier, so it will be used in your body, but it won't really do much. However, it helps keep glutamate in check, just like a benzo does. Um, if you do feel calming effects with GABA, this is just that statement. You may have a leaky blood-brain barrier. So if you're taking GABA and you're saying, well, I do feel calmer, then you have likely leaky gut and likely leaky blood-brain barrier. You'll have to do some informational research on that. Again, if you're getting cut off from your doctor, it does stimulate dopamine receptors, which is very good because guess what? Benzo withdrawal, you lose your dopamine ability in your body. Um, and let's see. So, and yeah, let me. I don't think I need to explain to you about losing your mood on GABA. So, uh, Phenibut might be something that you can use to actually taper off of. If you want more information, my favorite go-to guy on nootropics is David Toman on nootropicsexpert.com. All of this information is right here on Phenibut. It tells you the makeup on it, GABA versus Phenibut, and this is where I got my information from. All right. He also is one of my main sources of nootropics, of like for example BDNF. I think he may have. Here you go. So this is the place you want to go. Again, nootropicsexpert.com, and just type in BDNF, and then he will have a list of things that will help with neurogenesis. I'm actually glad I checked this out. So you can see right here we have ashwagandha, bacopa monnieri, DHA, ginseng, gotu kola. Again, be careful with this one. Um, you'll have to read this information very gingerly. I mean, really be careful. N-acetylcysteine, very good for glutathione. One of the benefits. Watch out for people trying to sell you milkshakes. Yeah, so all these are good. And in fact, Peter Smith, Peter Smith UK, balancingbrainchemistry.com. He talks a lot about BDNF, a lot. And in fact, these are a lot of his supplements that he suggests too. All right, let's minimize that, and that is it. So I'm going to now move over to the next phase. Switching to multiple doses, we have in this, let's just say total, this will be total mgs per day. How many times per day is your dose, and how many times in your day. So you're taking 6 milligrams one time. Your goal days. So if you want to switch from 6, let's say if you want to switch from whatever, there's a lot of these things. There's Onfi, Klonopin. I mean, these are all benzodiazepines in here, Xanax, and really doesn't matter what the name is. However, you just want to split from 1 to 2. Then you also moving percentage. How much do you want to move? So it should be greater than 3%. Let's face it. Unless you're doing the nail file perspective, go for it. 10%, fine. If I want to do 5%, you'll see these numbers are going to change. This is all Excel filing. So let me move my recorder up here. And what happens is you're going to simply move the 10% to the new. If you're doing, let's say, in water tapering, it's probably the only way to really do this. So you're going to have your total 6 milligrams. This is your total. And because we are OCD, we center that. So now it's just going to help you understand where you're going. So if I'm doing my cut number 1 and I'm going to sit there for, let's say, I go 2 weeks with this. I feel okay, everything's working out. I go to step 2, then I'm going to be changing it over to 4.8 to 1.2. How do you do this? All right, it's going to be based on, again, those tools. All right, so when you're thinking about 100 milliliters, let's say you put that 6 milligrams inside this 100 and you put it all into one here. So this is rather a math skill, all right? So if I have merge 100 ml in this one glass, this syringe is what's going to take out the amount of milliliters. And I just did this off screen just to show you how it would work. So again, 10%, of course, everything is easier. So obviously, let's just simply make it clear. 100 ml is 100% of what's in here. So if I throw 6 milligrams in this jar, 100%, 100, that's why we're working with the word 100, the number 100. We don't want 150, 125, because that'll make the math harder. So 100 ml of, guess what? Distilled water. Okay? Has to be distilled because why? More real estate. Did I spell that right? Someone tell me. Okay, so 100 makes it easier to do the math. So if we're just simply doing 10%, well, then I need 10 ml of this mass. So I take this, I extract 10 milliliters. Here's the thing, which of course I will be demonstrating how to do it. Do I still have I hope I have my syringe still. So this makes it a lot easier when you're doing the 10%. However, 10% may be too much for you. So watch what happens if I change this percentage to, let's just say, 7. Now the numbers become harder, so 93% and 7%. So if I come back over to the tools and I do 5%, or 7, right? So it's not that, actually, I'm sorry, it's not that hard. It's very simple. So every one is a percent. See how easy this is? So every single one is 1%. So whatever your percentage is, that's what you're doing. So it makes it very simple. So, but let me explain it before I demonstrate it. You shake the nonsense out of this for at least 30 seconds. So let me merge this, throw this to the top, and word wrap. Shake it very, very severely. And you want to do this for about 30 seconds. Now, what's the other problem? The other problem is do not spin. So when you spin it, you create a cyclone, and so you want to violently shake it, like in a vigorous, weird, crazy up and down, up and down. If you spin it sideways, you create a cyclone, and guess what? It pulls anything down to the bottom, any kind of hard matter. That's why you really want to make sure that there's distilled water, because there's more real estate. You're not competing against any other minerals in that water. Okay, we talked about that already. Now, let's go back to the 10% to make it easier. Same concept. If you're going from now 2 to 3, it's now going to be this way, all right? And this, of course, and I got to switch this over to cut number 1, and it's going to be the same concept, but I think 2 doses will probably be enough. Here's the problem that a lot of people run into. All right, this is a reinsertion because I was just babbling in the previous trial, and here is the problem. So when you have Ativan or Xanax, your half-life is literally like 10 hours. So I'm just going to give an example on the 10 hours, even though there's ones that are much longer. But here is the thing. Keep in mind blood levels of the medication. If you're thinking that, well, I take 6 milligrams a day, that I can simply cut it in half since I'll be taking 6 milligrams in a day. That's not how it works. What's in your blood at the given time? What is your body used to? It's used to this cycle. I take 6 milligrams. By the half-life, it will drop 50% per se. You know, um, but then what happens in the next part of the half-life? It drops another half. It does not go to zero. Not that it matters. The issue here is you assuming that you're taking 6 milligrams in a day. What happens is this is now what you're getting. You're getting 3 milligrams for the hours you're going to suffer through. I hate to use the word suffer through, but that's all you're going to get to balance when your body is used to this. Your transmitters, neurotransmitters, your receptors are used to this. Um, and then you drop it 50%, you're going to feel it immensely. So even though you take it and then you're suffering, oh, I'm going to take 3 milligrams later anyway. So by 3 p.m. and now you're originally at this 1.5, you're taking another half a dose. Now you're at 4.5 in your bloodstream. Well, it might give you a spike, but this oxidative stress, this anxiety, this feeling you're going to get will probably not get saved through this 4.5. You might feel a little bit better, but you're not going to feel it because this is what you're used to up here. So that's why it's imperative to go to creating multiple doses and cut. Just so you understand, that's the way of tapering. I wouldn't know particularly if we were to, well, I do know. If you were to weigh the pill, and the pill weighs whatever, you have to use a calculator, do 10% of that. And that's where you're going to use a file of some sort to try and chop it, try not to lose any of the dust. That's why it just seems messier. And get 10% or whatever percent you're working with, and that's what you're going to lick out of the cup because it's going to be dust. So that's why I'm not exactly a fan of the dry way of tapering. So that's that. And there's ways, of course, doing it, moving your doses all the way to 4. But I think that 2 would suffice if you need to do it that way. Although I think 3 is actually kind of ideal as well. All right, now we are still moving along. Let's talk about taper scheduling from times per day. Okay, so this is where using your tools, if you have, let's say, separate doses or you just have one, this is your guide that's going to be pulling it out of either jar. So once you balance out, let's just say you're at 50, you got it, you got 50% on both sides. All right, so this is the original dose. So you equate the two, and then when you're starting your taper, you're pulling, let's say if you're 10%, you're pulling 5 out of here, 5 out of here. Okay, you're equally doing it. You're not doing 10% out of one. You're going to equally split it. It's understood? Okay, let's go to the dose. Let's just say we're 1 time a day. You're going to risk it on that level. And, oh, sorry, wrong one. Times per day 1. Let's just say pill value of an alprazolam is 2. Let's do my Xanax. That is full. Let's just say you are, let's just say you're S6. All right. We know the half-life of Xanax is very, very low. Very powerful drug. The pill weight is 0.062 on average. 1 pill is needed based on the fact that that's the pills that you're taking it once. If I were to say 2 per day, well, oops, sorry.
this would be if it was, if the pill was, let's just say a 3 milligram pill, then you would need 2 pills and it would just tell you what the weight is. So, well, let's go back to this. You're doing 6 milligrams. Your total dose is 6 times per day. You're taking it once. You want to rate at 10%. Just saying. The whole thing is about going about how you feel, not the days. All right, so if you want to say every 2 weeks I want to cut, that's fine, but you have to determine, am I ready for the cut? Have you re regulated? The whole thing is you, let me see if I can just throw a little goal in here, is you want happy receptors. They will tell you if they are happy. It's about satisfying the receptors. The first cut, when you're not happy, the receptors are simply not happy. So you want to try to keep them faintly happy. You're never going to feel good. So the goal is to balance out so the receptors eventually calm down and say, okay, I'm fine, I'm happy. All right, great, moving on. So go by how you feel. So let's just say we're going to do 14 every 2 weeks. Um, we're on cut day number 1, which highlights over here. And this is exactly what we're talking about on the water titration degree. How much water are we using? We're using our 100 milligrams. This is 100% of your dose. All right. Again, we're taking a pill and we're dropping it in there. Normally, what I do is I take the 100 milliliters from here, put it in the one jar, put my pill in there, shake the nonsense out of it for a good 30 seconds, not spinning it. Right away, I grab that percentage that I'm pulling. Right away. You don't want anything to settle on the bottom because even some of them have caking materials in their pills. This is going to tell me what 1% equals to, as we know. 100%, 1. My new dose is telling me what my new dose is going to be. All right, so in milligrams, I'm cutting 10% of 6, and my new dose is going to be 5.4. How do we get that? We just simply take 6 minus, where is it at? Oh, there we go. This is my cutting dose. So obviously 10% of 6 is 0.6. All right, and that's going to give me my new dose. It's going to tell me the weight of the pill if you were to do it in dry measuring. Okay, so just how I do the math is down there. And that's going to be your month. So let's just say I'm starting off, let's see, where's the date? You can see when I was creating this program. So let's just say 11/1/2020 and to enter. This whole entire printable sheet would go on my refrigerator and it would tell me exactly when my next cut date is. If I need to change it, let's do 15 days. Let's do 16 days. You see how it automatically changes. This is actually a phone app I would love to actually start creating too. But this is right now, this is all Excel craziness. And so you get the idea of what you're doing. So if you need to do this by your own and do it by a calculator, just do a grid like this, find your days, put it in here, and just do it like this. And take your switch, take your main dose. You're doing simply 6 minus your dose. How do you get your thing? You're just simply taking your milligrams times the percentage. Milligrams times the percentage. And that's going to give you what you're subtracting. And then you just do the math. 0.6 minus your total dose. And therefore, you can do your weight. So I had to do the 10% of the pill weight. That's the cutting size. So this is going to be the weight of the pill. And so it actually doesn't weigh a lot. And then you can see how your dry measuring is going to go. That's just wait if you need to do it that way. Otherwise, you ignore this line. Again, 10%, you don't really need a calculator. You just move the decimal over one to the left, as you see. That's all it does. Move the decimal over, and then eventually it's going to change as it goes along, because the next one, all right, so your new dose is this here in L4, this spot 5.4, which now becomes your new regular dose. It's no longer 6, right? So now we're taking that one, that dose, and subtracting 10%, which now you're taking this minus this guy. So you can see here, this becomes your new dose. Okay? So you ignore this. So when you go to day 2, this will highlight. Now your new dose is this. New dose, new dose, new dose. All right? You're no longer 6 milligrams. You moved on. You've gotten better. You're healing. And this is awesome. So your brain's getting used to getting better on the new dose. You're using all your tools to get better. The things I've mentioned in the first video, it's getting you through the nights, through the sleepless nights. And so then once you get to day 3, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. My new dose, what's 10% of that new dose? Same thing. And then I'm subtracting it from my previous dose. That gives me my new one. And I move on to week 6. All right. And that's how it works. And this will go all the way to the very end if you want to go down to the crazy licking the jar. All right. So that is how it's done. All right. So if you want, let me just do this. Let's just say if you're a 4 milligram of pill value in the milligram, total dose per day is 4 milligrams. Let's say you're doing it once a day. You're doing it every, let's just say 15 days. That's fine. You're going to subtract, I prefer 7% or lower, but if you want, just take a quick look at that and take a snapshot. That is 7%. I'll do 10%, and you can take a look at it there. I don't know if I still have it in here. Let me see. Volume. Nope, I didn't put the. I gotta do a weight of that pill. I don't have the pill weight in there. So this, of course, is growing because I don't have every single pill. I have a 2 milligram Valium to weight, and I have alprazolam. I don't have Valium. Actually, I think I do have. Someone did give me that information. If I go to the menus, pill weight. Darn it, I didn't put it in here. So that tools, supplements, sheet. Getting yourself ready. All right, moving on. Let's go to this. Let me shrink this down so it can fit a little bit better. Go up, go over. All right, getting yourself ready. This is just want to recap this. What got me through all of this stuff? All right, we ready for this? I went through all of these feelings. Not so much bipolar. I can't say I had that. So Peter Smith, who I introduced you to, he has a mindfulness meditation walkthrough. It's the best one I've found. All right, for men, it feels like horror. We're not capable to do that laying down. You think you're not allowed to do it because you're a man. You're supposed to be stronger. Ignore that nonsense, and we need to calm the muscles down. And when you calm the muscles down, belly breathing, and relax every muscle, every thought that comes into your mind, let it be passive. Just let it come in and go. And just for you, I just paused to make an actual picture of mindful meditation. The way he helped me through is like this. Yes, it helps. First few times I did it, I was like, it's stupid. I don't want to do it. Oh my God, I feel weird, blah, blah, blah. but I don't really actually don't call this mindful meditation. I actually call it mindless meditation. So the imagery, you can choose whatever you want, whatever works for you. You can even just hum the thoughts away. Anxiety comes in. I got a tumor, blah, blah, blah. Just imagine it. Oh, okay, whatever. Just let it be. Don't respond to it. Just, hmm, I'm feeling I'm feeling something, and just don't respond to it over and over again. You're just melting yourself away. And um, believe me, it got me out of the severe cases of anxiety responses. Another thing that helped tremendously, faster EFT. You can do the first week for free, and you really don't need much after that one. I don't even know if I still have a login with this one, do I? Apparently not. Closed out because that's what I was making it out of. Faster EFT. Don't email me at that address, please. All right. So, faster EFT will literally help you get through the nights. And just look it up. This is exactly the concept. You don't need someone else to do it, you do it yourself. And you can see even right here, we're talking about sin, past problems, choices, and all these things that she was going through. That's her. And look, it makes you feel things out, but she smiles in the end. And uh, but it, in itself, not that you're going to tap on things. You can tap on problems, memories, get rid of the memories, uh, or just simply tap because it's a great distraction. But you really wanted to get out of the distraction. Spirituality. I'm more biblical, plain and simple. I don't really I don't go past that concept. I don't believe in the concept where God's just going to give you a miraculous cure, because we are in a world of, uh, well, it's a trialsome world. Not that God created the trials, it was simply done from the beginning, but I don't want to get too religious on you. Um, but some things to think about. Let's see if I can even do this. Word wrap. Um, 2 Timothy 3, 1 through really 13, really calls these days, last days, critical and hard to deal with. All right. So we have to understand that that's the concept of what's going on, but that people who do pray the Lord's Prayer, you think of Revelation 21, 21. Come on. Come on. 21, verse 3 and 4 is a future promise where there is no more. What? No more death, no more tears, no more pain, no more mourning. Did I spell that right? No more outcry, right? No more. So that is, of course, people who say the Lord's Prayer, the kingdom will come on earth as it is in heaven. That's what mankind will experience. But there is a certain issue been raised since the Garden of Eden, so let's not get into that anymore. But the focus is morals, values, self-love, compassion. Very hard to do, especially depending on your background. If you didn't have a loving father, you're going to lack something. If you have a loving mother, you're going to lack something. Very hard. And I'm so sorry you deal with those things. What also helped me? A few books, audio books, not reading. Mindfulness Way Through Depression. These guys are amazing. John Kabat-Zinn is phenomenal. He's a genius. Louise Hay is absolutely phenomenal. She's amazing in her learning to cherish yourself again. Not easy to do, right? My favorite and hysterical book. Let's get Louise out of the way. The Worry Trick. This is all about the Googling, oh my God, I have a tumor, and how to get out of it. This is more post Benzo, because let me explain what happens is, let's see if I can just do some whiting here. I know this is a very long video. Let me just do this real quick. Um, Rewiring the brain. Hold on. Um, this was not a bad book. I actually did like this. It's a how to use neuroscience, but I actually don't waste your time. So let's just get rid of him because it's very neuroscience. If you are the type who are just, I don't like being weak, I don't want people to see me as weak, perfectionism, boom. Brene Brown, Power of Vulnerability. One of my favorite books. There's another one called The Ego is the Enemy. I like that book now. I'm just learning. I'm listening to that one. All right. We have a nice clean slate here, and I want to talk about what happened. So once we start off with general anxiety disorder. So we have some anxiety feelings, and this can come from, ready? It's going to be fun. Intracranial hypertension, which can come from bracing your body. It can come from, oh, well, I hate to say it, but yes, clots in the brain. You will get whooshing noises, pulsatile tinnitus, pulse in your ear like that, boom, boom. It's very loud. It might be in one ear. Tinnitus. Ignore regular tinnitus. It's just part of the problem. Intracranial hypertension come from stenosis. Also come from so your jugular veins can be actually obstructing. Obstructed by C1 vertebrae and your styloid of your skull. So these, of course, are things you may have to get checked out. Which is my problem? It comes from cervical instability. Yes, you can become irritable, rage, all these nasty sensations. It can come from also severe TMJ. Did I spell severe right? Because that's a lot of clenching, especially if you're already stressed. Which stress, worry, OCD, all these things can come from that, of course, which comes from our background, environment. I don't know if I spelled that right. And there's, of course, genetic expression. All right. So when we respond in normal anxiety disorder, it's how you respond. So if you are the OMG, I'm dying. If you are the OMG, it's, I don't want to go back to the tumor thing, but let's just stick with the OMG concept. All right. If you're the OMG germs, OMG, someone fill in the blank. Something. All right. When you respond, what happens? You record in your brain a memory, a way to protect yourself is recorded. So, for example, staying home more often turns into agoraphobia. All right. The germ thing can turn into an OCD of washing. What's my favorite? You ready for this one? Colon cleanse. Yes, I don't waste my time with colon cleanse. I don't believe in them. You want to get the other ones is the enemas. Enema? I don't know how to spell enema. Or even like the coffee enemas. Just come on. The issue, of course, here, if you're worried about the colon, it's a matter of bacteria. Good. So that's when you look into berberine, but you have to be careful if you're that's a that's an actual very powerful supplement, an antibiotic, and helps with blood sugar, helps with brain boosting brain sugar, things of that nature. And yes, it balances neurotransmitters. So, so you see what we do is we create this complete crazy mountain of this decline, all right? So if I were to say, like, here's our mountain, right? And we come over here and we're going downhill, all right? What's going on with my All right, so this it's constantly going downhill, and it goes in terms of steps. You know, you're going like phase one. Let's change that color. You're going to another phase. Copy paste, and copy paste, copy paste. See, you keep going downhill. These are all stages that you are now creating that you have to go back upward in order to heal, and it takes longer. So know what to do is coming from therapy. A good cognitive behavioral therapy. All right. I think I might have mentioned this in the first one. So be sure that you're using someone you're willing to fire if they're not doing it. Okay. Use someone who's working with you. I fired 5, technically 3. Um, so, and I found the best, perfect one for me. And she is amazing. And the previous ones were just, nope, it was 4. They they were just all over the place, and so you have to be willing to let them go. Say, listen, this is not working for me. I'm not ready for therapy, and just whatever you need to say, just say it. All right. Um, so be sure you're willing to fire them, and you don't have to do it like you're horrible. Just say like, listen, I'm not ready for therapy. I'm gonna quit, and then look for another one. And and that's it. Just again, it's about this cognitive therapy is going to the root of you. What is you? Who are you? Who am I? And how you function. Your routines. Um, someone idiosyncrasies. I'm not spelling it. Um, so and someone who understands the phases of healing, and it's not a clear recipe. Okay, not everyone's baked at 325 for 12 minutes or 18 minutes. Everyone has something different. What helped me, like my phase one, was feeling out my painful memories. Yes, that was my healing. And then step two, where I'm technically at now, I'm still actually in step one. Step two is ACT, is acceptance and commitment therapy. And commitment therapy. And if you want to know how that is done, we go to the worry trick. This is all about acceptance commitment therapy. It means going back outside for your agoraphobia. So you're agoraphobic, all right? So again, going back to that problem with agoraphobia, how do you start? One, it might be just looking out the window. If you are really severely hurt and you are scared, look out the window each day. You breathe and you go through it. All right. This is all going through the taper process. This is what you have to do, and then it may be look. Let me go back to that. Sorry, I stepped out of it. Looking out front door while open. Then it may be walk to the edge of the driveway, and so on and so forth. So everything's going to be different steps. So if you got a therapist who is pushing you, like, you just got to take some walks, you just go down the road, and then turn back. If I did that when I was in my benzo withdrawal, I freaked out and fell to the ground. Okay. I literally started this way to this one, and it took time. It takes time. Okay. I think that's it. My hair's sticking up. Okay. All right. Well, it's in the front. Not going to happen. All right. Just going through my thing here. I believe that's all that there is. So you get the idea of tapering, tapering schedule, the tools that you need, the supplements, the sheets, and there's nothing else. What's this? Let me just take a look real quick. Oh, that was a volume taper. That was me helping somebody else out. Um, so that's it. Just I know your pain, and I know that you think you're going to remember all this. You will, but it won't haunt you. It won't tear you up. It will just be like, I can't believe what I went through. But the next phase, of course, is knowing really where the root causes are. I know I have OCD issues. I have memory issues of bad things in a long ago. But I also have a lot of damage. My neck clunks. I can feel the joint here just moving around. I'm miserable sitting here. I'm just hiding it very well. Oh, that hurt. I should not have tested that one. My spinal fluid don't flow right. My left eye is getting worse since I started. I think I might have mentioned that in the first video. My right eye's fine. My left eye's bad. It's getting worse as it goes on, and then my glasses are changing like every 3 to 4 months. CSF buildup in this particular optic nerve sheath, flattening of the pituitary gland, pretty bad herniations growing in my spine. And when you have like intracranial hypertension, you feel horrible, and you get this anxiety response, especially if you're medical fear. And then guess what? Just take a little Xanax, blah blah blah, physical therapy, yabba dabba doo, and then all of a sudden it starts. And then you think, oh my God, this is all benzo withdrawal. It may never have been benzo withdrawal in the first place, or it may never have been you going insane, So I think we're done. So I wish you well. Let me know anything in the comments if I'm missing anything. I believe I have a stage 3 video. I did remember having, let me see. Benzo, pause. I found my old version 3, Benzo Part 3, that I did have up on YouTube, and I actually deleted it. You'll have to see this little clip right here. Welcome to Part 3. And this seems to be the final take, as I've tried this 4 times already since I've made Part 1 and Part 2, because I kept on getting new things. And so as you stay tuned, I'm going to be going through. You'll see my shirt change too. You see how how thin I was at that point. And this was done in April of 2019, so I wasn't horrible even then. So I was just really in my second year, and but I actually did in that third version talked about all the books, so I kind of doubled up everything in here. So I guess my next video will be about supplement stacks and nootropic stacks. Maybe I'll probably do one on that one. I really don't know how much I believe in them, to tell you the truth. I did go through a number of them. Did they help? Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But if you look on the those websites I've sent you, and that's it. Till next time. This is the thinking man. I'm thinking. I can't remember what I was thinking about. What is the thinking man thinking about? He don't even know. Yeah.
I was saying something. I was going to say something. I was going to say something. And it was about something. And cut. Okie dokes. Let's start off with getting this brighter. If I can figure that out. Stupid phone. Why did I go dark? Did I go bright? And cut.